Morning, guys. Just having a look at Bitcoin this morning. So, obviously, we've had a nice pullback overnight. I did mention in the chat there was possibility that this could end up being some kind of flat. Now, the thing that I find with flats on Bitcoin is, and I've found this in the past before, even though a flat is a 3-3-5 structure, so it would be like sort of a 3 and then like A, B, C up, and then you'd expect 5 down. I've found on Bitcoin in the past, many times in the past, what you think is it's still a flat, but it never actually makes that fifth down. Like so, like instead of here we get the 1, 2, 3, you'd expect maybe one more leg down. I've seen on Bitcoin that actually it doesn't happen the way it should, and I'll see if I can go back in history and see if I can find an example of a flat that didn't make the five waves down. Yeah, here's a good prime example. So obviously, if we call this a flat, we had the move down, 3-wave move up, then we had another 3-wave move down, and it didn't quite pop back up and make another low. It ended up being a flat that was I guess a 3-3-3 structure, which is like a WXY flat or whatever you want to call it. But I have noticed in the past with Bitcoin, even though makes the nice flat structure, it doesn't quite make that fifth subwave down. I've seen that happen on Bitcoin multiple times before. It just seems to be a characteristic with Bitcoin. So I would not be surprised to think that maybe that was the low on Bitcoin, and it was a shallow one, and we potentially move higher. Also, there's potential that this does. So if you were to be looking to long Bitcoin, I think you'd probably want to have a decent stop, maybe down here at like 33.5. But I think this next leg up, I think Bitcoin is still very, very, very much impulsive. I think this is probably a 1, this is a 2, this is a 3. This whole structure here is probably a 4. Then we're probably going up for a 5. And then there's also this wave 1, 2. So then we'd have something like that. Then there's also this 1, 2. So then we'd have something like that. So I think all in all, the structure for Bitcoin is still very, very much bullish, and this can potentially extend even much higher again. And then once this leg and all the subwaves of just this leg are complete, which I suspect will probably go higher than 46k anyway, it'll probably end up in the 50s, I think. Then we have to still consider this as a wave 1, this is a wave 2, and wherever this ends up being, this is probably also a wave 3. And then we go higher again. And there's potential that one of these waves is probably going to extend far higher than we can imagine, because that seems to happen on Bitcoin as well. At some point it just goes parabolic, and I think that will probably happen. Like, you can see here it just starts to go completely vertical. I think that will probably happen in this leg that we're probably in right now. So I'm still very much bullish on Bitcoin. I think this dip overnight is probably a gift. I don't think there's any signs of any kind of tops, in my opinion. I think either it's probably bottomed here. If for some reason it does make one more low and takes out this wick, I think it would be an absolute gift. And I think I'm still very, very much bullish on the market here. So I'm very much so liking Bitcoin. Now I'm going to move on to ETH. Obviously, this was the scalp trade that hit target overnight. This was Adam's top tick scalp, which was also a gift. But same deal with ETH. I think the structure is probably very similar to Bitcoin in the fact that it's a flat. Now either this is a little SFP here on 4 hour and continues higher, or maybe it sort of pops up and actually takes that low one last time. But all in all, I do think ETH is going higher, even though FBTC looks atrocious. This looks like some kind of sideways pattern here on FBTC, and I think it's almost certainly going lower. FBTC looks horrible to me, so even though I'm bullish on ETHUSD, I think that's probably just going to get dragged up because Bitcoin's probably going to send. But I think FBTC is at this point almost certainly going to take out this wick low down at 0.048 and probably even lower. I don't think it'll just take that out and then reverse. I think it might even go lower. I think all in all, this whole structure will probably end up being an ABC on FBTC, and it will find support and end up being a major sort of higher low at some point in the next 12 months. But when that happens and how much lower this goes in the meantime is probably still yet to be determined. The major fib level for FBTC, the major 0.618 measured from the entire way up, is at 0.043, which is a little bit quite lower than that sort of major wick. You know, the 0.618 is still, from taking out that sort of wick low, is still a solid 10% lower again. So I think that will probably be the area where FBTC finds support and then ends up putting in a reversal candle. And from current levels, that is still like probably 15% lower. I'm not sure. Let me measure it. 15% lower on FBTC. So bullish on FUSD. I think FUSD, I think this is probably a 1, 2, 3. This is probably a 4, and we're probably going for a fifth wave up on FUSD. And then I think FUSD will probably have an ABC like so. Probably the whole time F is faffing about and doing that, I think it'll probably be breaking this this sort of downtrend. I think the ABC will probably retest this trend line, and then F will go. I personally think the point in which F outperforms Bitcoin is on this breakout here, but I just have a feeling this breakout of 2200 for F is gonna happen, or is going to be building up to happen, while FBTC is probably still going parabolic. I think that's kind of what's going to happen. F is going to slowly grind up while F is already pumping. Bitcoin is already pumping. And then I think once F actually breaks out of this level, which is probably going to take a little bit, that's the point in which FBTC probably does the reversal, and I think it'll probably be down here by that point. And yeah, that's kind of what I think is going to happen on F. I'm still obviously bullish on it, but just I think Bitcoin's just simply going to outperform F at this stage, and I think FBTC still looks horrible and probably has a little bit lower to go. And that's F and Bitcoin for today, guys. Cheers. Bye.